Hey guys, welcome back to American Discourse News Live. Today we have Rogue Dissident here with us. Danny, so happy you're here. We're going to do a new series on my channel. I'm going to do it probably once a week, and it's called Be So For Real right now, currently what's going on. So I thought Danny was literally the perfect person to have as a guest for our first series on this. So I thought we'd just kind of bust into Candace Owens is dropping a series about the Bride of Charlie today. What do you think about that, Danny?
I mean, obviously, I'm super stoked to see what she put together. The trailer of it looks great. Like, I mean, you're watching it, and as I was watching the trailer, I think it must have been yesterday, right? I think she posted it yesterday. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, it literally looks like I'm watching the trailer for like a Netflix documentary.
Yeah,
Like,
her
you know what I
team.
mean? Like the way
Yes.
it's done, I was like, this is what the vibe is completely that.
I can't wait to see the production on this because if she paused for a whole week, I think it's
Yeah.
going to be kind of insane. We'll probably react to it at some point. I want to do
Yeah.
something like that. I don't know if you do, but I
Yeah.
want to do a
Yeah.
reaction to her series.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what I found today on the internet is the Daily Wire actually has a response to this. So we know the Daily Wire is her former employer, loves to go
Uh-huh.
around and just hate on Candace. I think it's okay to be critical of her. We should all
Yeah,
vet
for
our
sure.
sources, but
She's
I
not perfect.
no.
Yeah.
But do you think it's like a little I don't know, they
The whole trying to make fun of her series that they like, that's mind-boggling to me. Like, how old are we? Like, so they lost.
right.
I mean, I hadn't watched. I feel like I'll give Ben Shapiro some credit. Like, he's probably one of the individuals that really kind of turned me on to politics because of his, speaking at colleges and how he handles his questions, and he does, usually speak well at those. And then he just really went off the rails, obviously after he let Candace go and everything from there. And now that you know more about things that took place before all that even happened, it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
disappointed,
And I
basically.
feel like she may have been over the target on some things, and they
For
freaked out and
sure.
just
For
went
sure.
kamikaze on her. So,
Yeah.
Zach Costello, who he's been recently making a lot of waves, I think, with some Turning Point drama. He posted this on X. I'm going to show you guys what he actually said, and then we'll play the video. But he said Matt Walsh is not amused as Ben Shapiro and Andrew Claven trash Candace Owens. So, um, they're obviously talking about Candace Owens' new expose, so I figured we could watch it and just react.
Yeah. I will say, I do like Matt Walsh. I do like Matt Walsh. And I do feel like I kind of like, I'm like rooting for him to like get out of there,
Right.
because I think he has so much more potential if he were to like cut ties. And someone recently said, based on some of the things he's gradually been sprinkling in, that like, I don't know. I don't know how
Right.
long it's going to last if he keeps it up. But I appreciate, like, when he was on Tucker, the way he was talking on Tucker, I was like, oh boy, his days are limited at the wire.
Yeah, because he said any state that needs our support shouldn't be one, any
Yeah.
country. And it was like,
Yeah.
well, that's
Yeah.
towing quite the line
If
there,
you need
buddy.
us to support you, but
Right.
and like he said too, though, he doesn't feel like our favorite ally there, truly needs our support. So that's the problem, right? They don't
Right.
actually need our support. So
So what are we doing here?
right, right.
It's not a giant blackmail operation to get our money or anything.
Right.
All right, let's see what it says. Also, let me know if this doesn't play correctly, and I'll see if I can do something about it.
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear it?
No, like completely mute. I think there's like, is there like, no, that looks fine, right?
It looks fine. Let me see if there's something. Give me 2 seconds. What I can
No
do
problem.
is leave this. I'll remove it, stop this screen, add it back in, and try again.
You know what I hate? I hate that like every platform has a different mute area. So I feel like
Yes.
when I'm trying to do this, I'm always like, oh, where am I? Instagram, TikTok.
Right.
I don't
No,
know
okay,
where to click.
let's test it again, even though it's trying to just keep going. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I actually muted it that time. Okay. Well, I'm gonna pull it up. It's a barren moment for sure.
I love it.
Okay, I'm trying again. Tell me if you hear it.
in the face of Candace Owens is tremendous evil, which I'm just going to put out there. What she's doing to Erica Kirk right now.
Fly by on a broomstick, saying, "Send out Erica." You know?
I mean, as a person who doesn't often use the adjective satanic, what Candace is doing right now is absolutely satanic to Erica Kirk. And I think Erica showing up at the State of the Union in honor of her husband, so the president can talk about left-wing violence against right-wingers, is absolutely good by the president, good on the president. In the face of Candace Owens is tremendous evil, which I'm just going to put out there. What she's doing to Erica Kirk right now.
Fly by on a broomstick, saying, "Send out Erica." You
know?
Doesn't that sound like the talking points?
I mean, we're like, this is like Mean Boys, right? If like, I feel bad because Matt's like up in the corner there, like looking so uncomfortable.
He looks like he's like, why are we doing this right now?
It's just gross. It's gross. Even if you disagree, it's still a gross look. It doesn't matter your opinion. It's ugly.
Well, did you catch the State of the Union yesterday?
I watched parts of it. It's so like, it's like they take like 40 minutes to get started and then he talks about crap for however long. So, I did listen to part of it. I didn't watch it all the way through. So I'll watch a little more later when I get a chance. But
I have a clip of Stu Peters was posted this on X. It was basically Erica Kirk at the State of the Union. But what I think is really weird about it is she is sitting next to someone who actually lost their daughter. It was the girl who lost her life on the North Carolina train. That mom is really upset. And I think it clips it out of here so you can't see her, but I'm just giving some background. Like when they talk about her daughter that was lost, she's like visibly very upset. And whereas we're going to see Erica Kirk here and she goes through a range of emotions. So I
saw a reel of Erica because I think it must have just been that short clip, right? That she was part of. And I did see her. So is the mother the one who was to her left from like our viewpoint?
She was to the right.
Okay. I was like trying to figure out because I was paying attention to some of them to see who was interacting with her, but I didn't know who they were at the time. So interesting to know that's who it is.
Yeah, so apparently the lady on the right with the dark, almost black hair is Irina's, I can't say her last name, guys. So,
Irina,
Irina's mom is apparently on the right of her. And so, maybe we can go back and watch a clip like that another time so we can kind of compare stages of grief here. But
it's been longer too it's right around the same time, actually, right? Wasn't it like a week apart?
I think it was around the same time.
It was like a week apart. They were, or like even a day or two. They were like super close because it was like boom, 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 like things that happened. So they've had the same kind of. I mean, I'll benefit of the doubt as a parent, and I'm sure you can understand as well. But like, I imagine the grief between a spouse and a child is vastly different. So I do understand that. But yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy though, now that I know who it is. So
yeah, and if I were her, I feel like I would feel odd. Like, I don't know, but that's kind of what she gives off. I'm going to play it and then we'll take a look and see what we all think. So I don't know what you thought, but I felt like that was quite the range of emotions.
What I thought when I first saw this was she didn't have her crazy eyes, but she's also not really interacting with people. But it still felt very like a production. It still feels that way to me. And I think that I haven't had a chance to do the video I wanted to do referencing what was her name who did the really great post about her being a psychopath, essentially. So I feel like this is a good example of that for me, where like I'm watching her and yes, I have my own opinions about her and I've looked at things that other people maybe aren't and whatever. But it still looks very performative. No matter what, to me, it looks performative. She looks up at the sky like she always does. She does the sort of like smile at the people around. It just feels very like this is what I'm supposed to do. And it like you can see the mother briefly at the beginning there, and you can see she still looks very, very She looks very disheveled, like she's having a time, and I don't
She
blame
probably
her
doesn't
in
wanna
any
be
way.
there.
And I mean, for all we know, maybe she recognizes what we recognize in Erica Kirk as well, and she's sitting here next to her feeling a certain way. You know what I mean? Like, we don't
Right.
really know what she thinks.
No.
But yeah, I mean, she looked softer and less kind of like crazy eyes but it was a very short period
Stop,
of
just
time.
stop.
She could have, I don't know. I'll give her credit. It looked a little more genuine here. Her eyes were watering. I'll give her that.
Yeah.
But it still felt very, I don't know, very performative and very, make sure you do this and look this and make sure you look like you're really sad. Like, I'm not saying she's not sad. I'm just saying it that's what it looks like. It looks,
Pageanty.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
she looks like she's
I
had
know.
a little bit of
Oh,
formal
you
training.
know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're missing her little handkerchief. That's, like, the one thing we're missing is the handkerchief and, like, the dab the eye.
I
Um,
feel like someone who's genuinely distraught over something like this, and obviously I've not had this happen in my life, but anyone I feel like that is genuinely having emotions over something like that, in my opinion, it's just like, it's not like you hit these marks every time. Boop, 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 boop. It's like, you know
right.
what I mean? Like, there are gonna be times where it just doesn't feel, it always feels like the same routine. I don't know, to me. But it was short. It's whatever.
It's not that serious, but I do think she still seemed like we were talking about pageant girl, pageant
It's just
vibes.
a vibe. It's just a
Yes.
vibe. Yeah.
So thought we would bring that up because the State of the Union just happened. So I think what I noticed about that was they didn't actually give her very much airtime. It was more
Yeah.
of like tip their hat to Charlie.
Yeah.
I was surprised like it wasn't more, quite frankly. But I think that was probably better. The optics look better that they probably didn't focus too much on
Yeah,
that.
they probably did that on purpose. They're not completely stupid, but I did
Exactly.
feel kind of like, when Trump was like, "My very good friend," I mean, I'm listening to it, I can't help but be rolling my eyes. You know what I mean? Like, if you guys felt that way, then it just feels like you'd be involved in a different way. You've
I
not said
agree.
anything for how long? You've barely spoken of it, but you gotta make that statement now. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I thought that was super interesting. And I think that people are just wondering, like, why isn't Trump more involved if that was his friend? And we all know that
Yeah.
Don Trump Jr. was really good friends with him.
Yes.
Charlie Kirk was his aide in 2016. So they were very close. And then Trump to come out and say Charlie Kirk's one of the reasons he won his election, that's no small
Yeah.
feat. We know Trump
No.
doesn't just give out flowers to people.
Accolades, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I feel like it's just odd. I think the behavior surrounding this whole thing, and that's why I think America is glued in, and maybe the world, is that people around him are not acting like they should. And I think that was
Mhm.
most people's like biggest red flag.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I'm not really on board at this point with like the Jesse on fire, Charlie Kirk is still alive bit. I just, that's not where I'm at yet. Maybe I'm wrong, but I
Right.
will give credit where credit's due. And the reality is a lot of the points he makes actually make complete sense. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that can completely be explained by that, but I'm still not there. I'm not there. I feel like there's too many, especially now after watching, was it the most recent? I think it might have been the most recent Baron Coleman episode
Which was
where he was
great.
talking about the start of what was that?
Andrew
The
Colbert relationship?
site. Yes, yeah. The website though that he wrote, was it
Oh,
Breitbart?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when
Breitbart.
he
Oh,
said where they started from, I'm like, are you kidding me with the picture with BB and stuff?
well, yeah, and if you think about, it's kind of crazy because when I was listening to that, it actually relates back to the Epstein files. Steve Bannon's a huge character in the Epstein
Yes.
files, and he's one of the main components of Breitbart. So, it would be interesting if they left out of the files that we've received any communication about Charlie Kirk, in relation to
Well, you
Steve
saw as
Bannon.
well that people were discovering that the whole 9/11 dates were completely dropped out of the files too.
Yes.
And haven't they already anyway been talking about releasing that stuff? So it's like, obviously you're going to release whatever you want to release, but you
Right.
know, and if you're cutting out those time frames from the Epstein files, obviously if you release anything about that, it's going to be like, okay, sure, whatever.
It's also interesting timing that Tucker Carlson did a 9/11 expose just recently.
Yes, I know. I actually
And
haven't even watched it.
I haven't had time
Yet.
either. I want to see it. It would
Because
be
I want
fun
to be able to watch it when I can focus and like actually use my brains.
Yeah. And I kind of wonder what questions he has. But yeah, I also thought we could cover today. I don't think we'll watch the whole entire video because it's like a 4 minute long video. But Erica Kirk at that high school, she apparently went on a History Rocks tour. So, and she's talking to high schoolers supposed to be about history. Danks has already covered this. He did a really good job.
He's done live.
Yeah, he did 2 videos. So he did one live with somebody and then he did his own yesterday. I watched them both and I actually talked to him on the side. I said, Danks, you made me watch this now 3 times because I was on another podcast where they're watching it. But it's so good. Like the breakdown is basically, what is she doing talking to these people? I kind of want to know what people think about her actual demeanor because it's different than what we've seen before.
Yeah.
And I want to hear what you think, Danny.
And I think too that it's different because I don't think she expected it to be recorded. I think for whatever reason she was thinking, because there probably aren't cameras there on her side, like her end, they were probably like, we're not recording it. It's just like a thing. But she wasn't like thinking, oh, people might be recording.
Right.
And so it is very weird. Like, I will say, I feel like the way she physically looks in this is how she looked in a lot of the pictures with Charlie before everything happened. Like I was getting that vibe so much more from the way she looks here. And it makes me wonder what that means now, because before I was feeling like she looked that way because of, you know, being with him and maybe just like being his tag along, but not being like the lead person involved in whatever. She was just kind of there with him, so she probably didn't put as much effort into like being prepared physically for every event. And so there was a lot of pictures that came out where she looked the way she's appearing to look here. But then now I'm questioning if maybe she was looking that way when she was with Charlie because they maybe they weren't doing well, which I know a lot of people are already assuming that maybe they were on the rocks.
Yeah.
So now it's making me question if she's not doing well right now, you know, when she doesn't have the ability to be prepared for it.
Right.
And she wasn't doing well then, either because of stuff she knew already or whatever, or they just weren't doing well. But that's what it looks like, that same appearance as that time frame.
It's like a disheveled look. And when you're used to now seeing her all glammed up, like we just saw that video before.
It's a stark contrast.
It's a stark contrast. And it's not that she's like bad looking. It's just
she's a beautiful woman.
Exactly. It's just
she looks like a mom who slept 2 hours last night. You know what I mean?
Which is actually relatable.
Maybe that's what it is. Right. But she hasn't been this way this whole time. No. And so it does make you wonder why in this moment she is. But her behavior, as we'll see shortly, also very different from anything else we've seen
that I've ever
been
seen.
A prepared thing.
Yes.
I feel like this feels last minute. Like, I don't know if they didn't have it on the books until last minute or something. I don't know. It just feels very unprepared. Even her actual speech and the things she's saying, it feels very unprepared.
It doesn't make any sense to what they're supposed to be there for, which is talking about history. So everyone keep that in the back of your mind. They're supposed to be talking about history, and we're going to watch I might stop at like the 2-minute mark because I don't need to play the whole thing. You'll get the vibe.
I don't know if it's the same here. I will say if it's the same as the ones I've seen, the audio is kind of crap. So where a lot of people are talking about maybe her sounding like she's slurring, it does sound like that. It's hard to say yes or no because the audio is kind of crap. So,
yeah, and this is a different angle than the Danks video. I think he had the other video that I saw, it was like they were on the left side of the podium and this one's on the right side of the podium.
Yeah, so this is a different angle.
It's a different angle. It's not even, I don't think, the exact video of Danks because I didn't want to like copy paste him. We're trying to get a different source here. So, but shout out to him for pointing it out because I had never seen this video. And then Project Constitution uploaded.
Well, this was pretty recent too, though. It was in February, so it's not that old. It just happened.
Yeah. And if you guys ever look in YouTube, like if you try and type in Erica Kirk, all of her Fox hits will come up. It's very hard to find your a source material for things that she's out in the wild doing. So just
Can you imagine having the algorithm work for you like that?
No, why doesn't my videos of Erica Kirk pop up in
Because
the
we don't have
YouTube?
billions of dollars to pay someone to make sure it works the way we want it to.
Exactly. Okay, I'm gonna hit play. Let's see how we all feel.
He lived his life in a way where he was not afraid to speak. He chose to use his voice for something so powerful. And I want you guys to understand that every decision will make a mark on your soul. It will. So as a young man, know that one day you're going to be a father. Know that the way that you treat women, the way that you live your life every single day, it matters. Ladies, be that, be ladies, be modest. Live your life in a way that's honoring. Honor your parents. Build something greater than just focusing on what's next in your life. Don't compromise your character. You guys might think it's great to go along with the crowd. You guys might think it's great to laugh at certain things that aren't funny. But just know that people are watching. And one day you might be in a position of leadership that people will look back on your life 12, 13, 15 years, and they'll say, wow, you made those choices, you made those decisions. Yeah, in those moments. But my aunt used to tell me, never do something that you don't want on the front page of a newspaper.
I'm stopping there for comment because it sounds like she's regretful of things she's done, which is stuff we've covered, Rogue. Like, I don't know, those text messages to the 15-year-old girl that are now going across the internet.
Yeah. I also feel like that reference to like things you might laugh at was because I think someone laughed.
Oh yeah,
And
she was
it was
condescending to someone.
it was her almost seeming like you might think it's funny now. You know what I mean? I will say this audio's a million times better. The audio on that
Better
other video
video.
was almost impossible to even know what she was saying. And there
Mhm.
were moments where it was like, was that even a coherent thing? But I think it was the audio. So it's much better here to hear it this way.
I agree, but does this cover history at all? Are you guys giving
No.
history, or is it giving moral lecture from someone who's like
Yeah.
having an expose by Candace Owens
Yeah,
currently going on?
this feels like she's here and these high school kids are probably like, "You're not my mom." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's what it feels like. I'm not saying what she's saying is bad. What she's saying is fine. You know what I mean? I don't disagree with the points she's making.
Exactly.
But, yeah, not and it does also kind of seem like the long pauses is because she's, like, trying to figure out what she's gonna say next. It feels very unscripted.
She's always talked like this, and I made a joke, I think I sent this to Danks, that basically she talks like she's in corporate Christian speak. It's a lot of jargon. It doesn't make a lot of sense. If you've ever worked corporate, you know these people where you're like trying to take direction from them, but they actually make 0 sense. Happy Wednesday. That was so sweet.
You were watching the Danks one too, then you probably got to the point where people were talking about how this is reminiscent of Kamala Harris. And I was like, oh my gosh, it really is. Like it there does appear to be quite a bit of words that, like, if you say enough stuff and you go in enough directions, people will forget where you were going originally and they won't think twice about it. That's what it feels like to me. That's the idea of that sort of approach. And it does feel intentional.
Right. How did you get to go to this high school, right? Besides money. Let's just put that aside. How are you able to go to this high school, present them a plan of what you're going to talk about, and then talk about this? So did you not have to give any forewarning on what you were going to talk about? You don't have enough chat GPT skills to pull something out of your hat?
Well, and
I
that's why
could have
this
done
seemed
this.
weird because I feel like we've seen her looking at paper before, clearly notes and things that she was referencing, because she'll have to stop and like look, you see her flip the page. Like there have been plenty of times at major events that she's had a reference. So it's weird to think, yeah, like you came here for a certain thing, you'd imagine you'd have at least bullet points.
Right. But she's giving nothing. It's giving literally
It's weird.
I feel like this is good enough video. Do you guys want to play more just to see if there's more?
I
juice
do,
in
yeah.
here? Let's just finish it. It's good.
Live
It's
your
not that
life in
long.
that way.
No.
Not because you're being constricted, not because you're afraid, but because you hold yourself to a higher standard. And I want to encourage you guys to do that. And I also want to encourage you guys, don't compromise your character. There's no reason to do that. You might think it's cool to insult people. You might think, the man that took my husband's life, he made a choice over a course of time. He made the wrong decision consistently over his life. And so I want you guys to understand that even though your choice might be small, I don't care if it's deciding whether or not to put the grocery cart back in the stand, or something as grand as finding a way to forgive someone who's deeply hurt you. Those choices leave a mark on your soul for eternity. People are watching. One day your kids will watch you. And so I again am so grateful to be here, because this is where it all started for Charlie. And it was always so special for him, because he understood that there's something so much greater when you sorry, it's just been really emotional these past few days. I apologize. Something that's so important when, even with understanding with your character, on the internet, it is so easy to hide behind a keyboard. It is so easy to press send after typing something out that you think will have no ramifications, but it does. There's someone on the other end of that computer, other end of the phone. And so as you go about your life and understanding that choices do mold you, I just want to encourage you guys to be bold and fearless. Not everyone is called to be on the front lines. That's okay.
It does feel very specific, does it? Not.
It's
Someone's on
giving.
the other end of that phone. like a 15-year-old, like the ones you're talking to.
I think that's what it's about. That was one of the reasons I was like, I feel like we need to cover this, because not a lot of people were hinting on the fact that she could literally be regretful of that
It
very
feels
specific
because
thing.
that's we're just getting off the tail of like that being the big news.
Right.
And that, I mean, and actually, given the time frame, is probably right at that time. That may be why she's appearing the way she does. And if I'm going to be honest, I feel like she looks prettier like this than when she does get all done up. I don't know. I feel like she looks prettier the way she is here. Just more approachable, more real.
She does, but I have a hard time, and Robert said this in the chat, it's like good messages, but it's a high standard for high school kids. When they're coming to learn about history rocks, maybe you should talk about the founding creators or anyone in history and their good virtues and why that shaped America like Charlie did. That would be my recommendation to Erica Kirk, which I give out almost every one of these videos I've done, because I feel bad now, like, for her PR, because how do you come back from these events? You don't. They ignore it.
It's really amazing to me. Like, I don't know. Obviously, I don't have my makeup done all the time. I don't, I'm not put together every day of my life. But I feel like in general, people can clearly see I'm the same person. I feel like when she's done up versus when she's like just in like a normal day-to-day appearance like she is in this, it's like very different people. Like she physically looks like a different person. It's kind of crazy to me how different she looks. Like how genuinely I could probably see her done up in one light and then see her like she is here and not know I was seeing the same person. Like it's that much of a difference to me. I don't know why. It's just weird.
It's almost her demeanor too, but it's like I think that if we were watching the Y-Files, they'd just say lizard people, because it's just what it reminds me of. Yes,
like the other ones are clone.
Yes, it's like Britney Spears dancing to Britney Spears. I don't know if you've seen that video recently, but like she's on the stage and then there's a Britney Spears in the audience. Like, where's Erica Kirk dolled up?
It's very weird. And like the way she looks in this, if you've done like any of the digging on like her Instagram and watched like her old highlight reels or whatever on her Instagram from like when she was traveling, and honest to God, I watched a lot of them. Like she looked like she would be fun to hang out with, like truly. And like, this is what I see here, that same person here. Obviously not the same demeanor because she's, melancholy here, but she physically is giving that person versus what we see when she's at like major events. It's like just a totally different personality, appearance, everything. It's almost mind-boggling
It is.
to me.
Well, and it's strange that if we think about those video leaks where she had came out and was so happy, and then now we're 6 months later-ish, and now she's really sad,
Yeah.
and maybe it just hit her. So I want to be graceful because I'm actually
Yes.
kind of that way where if something happens to me, I'll
Yeah.
push through for a very long time and then break down. And that
I'm
could be
similar.
what's happening. So I want to give her some grace here, but I think it's hard when you're the public being forced to see somebody act extremely normal, happy, whatever you want to say after the initial Big Bang to now, where now she's really upset. And it's like, we can't tell if, are you upset because you're now feeling like you're supposed to be upset, like the psychopath thing we've talked about?
Right.
Or are you genuinely upset because grief has now caught up with you?
Right.
That's
It's
the big
really hard
question.
because I feel like for me, and it could certainly be that, obviously, I think, and it's really hard when you're doing content like this to be able to cover what you want to cover, but also have your opinion as clearly presented as you're trying to do. And
Right.
for me, I feel like there are certain things. It's not even the most of the time I'm very forgiving of stuff. I recognize most people will do things differently than other people. That's totally fine. It's that there are certain things that stand out to me. Like when she was on that call with TPUSA very shortly after his death, I lost a dog, right? Who was
Right.
like my baby. And if I went to work 2 weeks later even, and someone said something like, "Do you have a pet?" Or like, and I had to say, I had a dog, we just put her down. At that moment, my throat's closing up. I'm getting, a quivering lip. I'm probably going to need a minute because like the verbalization of what happened is going to make me upset. And as hard as I'm going to try not to, it's going to be real hard not to. And so when she's in that video where she's talking to them, especially the one where she says, "My husband's dead." That's bizarre. That one, that like, if I'm going to pinpoint certain moments where I'm like, something's not right here, that's one of them.
Right.
But just like being able to even reference, there was in the other one too, or the video one, I think she makes a comment along the lines of, "My husband was assassinated." And she doesn't sound torn up, like,
No.
and I get it, but then when she's speaking about whether people could lose their job, she's got that immediate sort of triggered, I can't really keep it together when I say this out loud. That's
Right.
like the wrong part. It should have been
Yeah.
here, not there. And that's what's weird to me. Like, I can forgive a lot of stuff, but those little certain moments where I'm like, I don't even understand how you could do it. I can
No.
talk about my dog. Like, there are still moments where like I could talk about my dog and I'll still get a little choked up. And it's been a year and a half. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so it's very weird to, even at this point, only however many months away from the event, to imagine you
Mhm.
could even talk about it and not have it choke you up in that immediate moment. And I feel like it would take so much disconnection mentally to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That would be really surprising to be able to do, with a
Well,
spouse.
and a lot of people have, and this is now we're going to put our tinfoil hats on, but people have thought she's maybe an MK Ultra person. And what
Yeah.
happens with MK Ultra is people dissociate so far away from with these different personalities. And we kind of seen that if we want to kind of put on our tinfoil hat and think, well, we're talking about just now, we just saw a different Erica Kirk, then another Erica Kirk, then another. Like, how many versions? Well,
I just thought of something actually,
what?
because I made the reference to Kamala Harris, right?
Mhm.
And I'd say for the most part, I don't get like a lot of Kamala Harris vibes from Erica Kirk, but the kind of word salady stuff I can see.
Mhm.
But I've always kind of been like, Kamala Harris has been MK Ultra. That's my opinion. She's very like confused if it's not the right line of, questioning, like, as if she
No
doesn't know
critical
how to have her
thinking.
own thought.
Yes.
And knowing that her mother worked at the where was it, a university or whatever, where the MK Ultra stuff was going on.
I
Her
didn't know
mother
that.
was a prestigious scientist
Oh,
at the
okay.
university at the exact time that was going on, that the
Mm.
MK Ultra stuff was going
And
on.
we
She
know these
worked there.
people use their kids. We know that.
Right.
That
So
is in the
imagining that,
files.
like, she's going home every day and MK ultraing her daughter as like
Mm.
a test example, right?
Yep.
And so when all of that was going on, I was like, I for sure felt that way. And knowing Erica Kirk's parents' involvement in the things they do, would we really be like, there's no way, whether MK ultra or just like other techniques that these individuals know, because they know a lot of stuff, you know, they don't have to do it by the book of like this particular thing. You know what I mean? But it
Yes.
doesn't mean that they don't have the skills to, you know, if you're working high up in some sort of government agency, you've got skills that we don't have. You know, you've got
Yes.
information about that stuff that we don't have. So even if it's unintentional, I imagine there's some sort of shedding onto your family when
Mm.
you're in that kind of environment. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kind of something like that that took place, even if it
Yeah.
was unintentional.
Yeah, because when you think about how close her mom is to the military industrial complex and all of the ties she has, all the multiple names people have found under Lori Fronsby's name,
Yeah.
I've seen so many. I even have had a hard time tracking them back down because someone
Yeah.
uncovered them and then they're hard to re-find because people are they're
Yeah.
trying to bury
Or
that.
her
So
father, you can barely find anything on her dad. I've tried numerous times. It's really hard to find anything on him. And but there is that similarity where, like, yes, I feel like Kamala was kind of this weird, bubbly, ditzy, whatever, but the same idea of like laughing at the wrong cue, or you know what I mean, smiling at the wrong time. And I
right.
had said this before with Erica, where it's not quite like, you can't quite pinpoint it. It's almost like when people speak and they put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable, you know, like when
Yes.
people say the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable, it's like
Yeah.
you can't quite place it, but there's something
It's off.
wrong.
Yes.
Yes, and I feel like it's the same kind of thing with the two of them, and it's interesting that they both had parents who worked in these higher up government type situations. It's
And Erica
interesting.
Kirk says nothing is a coincidence. So if we are if we're going by her word,
Coincidences.
yes,
There's
and
quite a
Charlie
lot of
Kirk
them.
yes, it's so many. Charlie Kirk says never stop asking questions. So that's what we're doing here. We're using
Mhm.
their morals and we're gonna switch it around and do it.
I
I
feel
also
like at
oh,
this
go ahead.
point, I feel like we could easily be at upwards of like 30 plus coincidences from like the history we've learned over these last 5, 6 months. Like, I
Yeah,
really feel like it would be at minimum, like I could easily write down at least 25 to 30 coincidences. Tell me how that's possible mathematically, because I just don't. That's
yeah,
where so many of us, and that's the problem, right? Like I've said before, I think that one of the biggest issues we have right now is that the government recognizes we all need to work our butts off to just get by, which means there's tons of people who are working 40 plus hours every week. They don't have time to listen to all the stuff that we're spending so much time listening to. And because of it, they don't know about, 30 of the 32 coincidences we know about. So for them, it's
right.
like, you guys are crazy. But it's like, if you had the ability to have the time to understand, that's why I do still think we should try and do some kind of like
Agree.
list, a literal list for like a summary of people who don't have the time, because it does go back so far and there's so many things. And I get that if you separate them all, it sounds crazy. It sounds like you're being insane. But when you put them all together, it's kind of mind-boggling
Yeah.
because it's not explainable.
And if you look at the Who Killed Charlie Kirk's timeline, which we should do, we can plug in more into that because they're trying to be very fact-based, but there are weird coincidences like no one's looking at Tyler Boyer the way they should be. I've done an episode on him with Superfeed, the mom, all that stuff. So if you guys missed it, check it out. But it's worse than that. They knew each other so long ago that,
Yeah.
and then, okay, let's just think about this as a normal person. Let's say it's my mom who's smart, intelligent, a Lori Fronsby type person. She's not in the military, but anyway, if one of my friends my age started a business with my mom, how weird would that be?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Weird.
also giving like one of those weird Macron and Brigitte relationships.
Yes.
Why are they doing that, right? So you even have to question these people's actual relationships together. No one's kind of put a spotlight on that because how long did Lori know Tyler? Did she do any
and it was like Tyler and Farnsworth, they were all friends for like to what I can tell, like 15 years or more. Like they were
Yes.
all friends, family friends for like a long time prior to any of this.
Yeah. And it's like, were they being set up by Lori to kind of go into these roles, right? Because she knew all these people and she's a key player, whether we like that or not. And another thing about Lori is Erica's mom. Erica said right after Charlie died, that he loved Lori. And I thought that's really weird to come out and just talk about how much your mom is loved by Charlie when, she's involved with weapons manufacturing, all the patents and stuff. Really weird background that you'd have to plant that in there. But once again, we never hear about Charlie Kirk's family. So that's strange.
I
And
know.
then on top of that, on my Reddit whistleblower video, I always think about how, yes, it was bias, but they did talk about how Lori Fronsby religiously watched Charlie Kirk's show and then repeated them back. And I've watched an interview where Erica Kirk has said herself, I watched Charlie, my husband's podcast, every single day when he went on. So that corroborated that story that Lori may have been kind of obsessed with him and not the other way around, kind of like Rob McCoy. Like they're obsessed with him, but they also are trying to like mold him into something.
Yeah.
Very grooming, very weird. Look. Yes.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So I think there's something to that we haven't quite uncovered yet. Now, I thought Barron did a really good job uncovering the Andrew Colvett relationship. That was mind-blowing to me.
And it's so funny because when you watch those, like, and this is what I mean, like from a different perspective, you'll watch it and be like, Andrew said, something came up, and because he had reached out to Charlie, he was like, hey, I'm going to reach out to him now. But it's like what Barron said, when you stop and actually critically analyze what they're saying, it's like, why would Charlie, who has all these people already around him, he's already got success, be like, oh yeah, that random dude that messaged me, I should reach out to him. Yeah. Like, was Andrew Colvett some bigwig that I wasn't aware of, like way back then? You know what I mean? Like, why was he like his go-to dude? Like, that is a weird idea.
He was connected with the right people, and by the right people, the greatest ally fans, right? Those people that are in the shadows that we don't, know about until we know about them. That's how they operate in that back door, back end, whatever you want to say. And I think that the Andrew Colvett thing is interesting because that girl that they were talking about that was demoted by some fake, maybe not, racist claim against her. And then she ends up working with the guy. I saw this very early on that there might have been a relationship going on with Charlie and that girl. And I want to try and retrack that down. I'm not saying this is true, but I am saying I saw that early on and someone had pinned it and said, what about this girl? Why isn't she in the picture anymore? Look at how they used to interact. This was before Erica was in the picture. So maybe she was steering him in the right way, and like other forces were like, no, we need to get her out.
Yeah, we need someone to replace her. What was I going to say? I feel like a lot of people will say, and I've heard this when Jesse's talking about his Charlie's still alive point of view, where it's like, imagine trying to get all of these people to participate in this, and keep it like, and make it successful. Like, that's so many people that are involved. How would that ever be possible? But the reality in my perspective is they're involved, but it's compartmentalized. So like when this group of people are involved, they're involved to a point, but they don't know like, oh, they're going to kill Charlie in the end. Right. Like they're involved, and they're involved in this segment of it, and they recognize that they're probably making the wrong choices. They have their reasons for doing what they're doing, but they're not doing it necessarily because they know like this is going to be the outcome. But after the outcome happens, then they're like, oh no, I have been complicit in this activity here, and I have no choice but to now go along. Like, that's the issue I have when people kind of say that. It's like, no, I don't think that there's been 30 people involved in trying to execute the assassination of Charlie Kirk, but I think that there have been many, many people involved in shady activities that are compartmentalized within the timeline. And after that said, now all these people who did have the ability to execute this assassination now can utilize that because they're well aware of the things that all these people are doing. There's some group of people up here that are, getting these people to have their own little bits of involvement without the knowledge of the other people's involvement. And I think that's where I don't agree with people's perspective in that sense. I don't think that there was 50 people who were like, let's execute this now. We all knew it was coming. Like, I don't think that. I don't even know if I believe Erica knew that. Maybe,
Right.
but I don't even know, but I do think that there is some sort of blackmail-ish scenario that's happening after the fact. And all of these people believe that they don't have the ability to say anything because they know they'll be screwed if they chose to speak out.
And Tim Dillon talked about that, and I put his clip in my
I love
last video.
him.
Me too. But he said that the motive is always money and livelihood to not talk, because that's how they'd be removed.
Yeah.
And there's a reason I don't necessarily say my name on the internet. There's a reason I don't do that stuff, because we all have something that we care for outside of this realm. And they say politics is a blood sport. So if you're involved in anything close to that realm, you do have something you're trying to protect.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why people also become complicit, because they have other things they're protecting has a higher purpose to them than something that happened to somebody they knew. Now, some of us have
that's why we see random people like that one girl who was let go decide to speak out, because she wasn't part of these groups that made these poor decisions. She probably kept her, integrity and made the right choices throughout the time. So she feels okay speaking out because she knows they don't really have anything on her. But the other people who are trying to play along, and which is why they don't look like they're acting well,
right?
Because they are acting, and they're acting probably under pressure and lots of fear. And that's why it looks the way it looks,
Yeah. I think I will always go back to Andrew Colvett on that, which is funny. Baron just did the exposition, but why would he call Candace and tell her that? Why would he talk to Tucker? He had Tucker on directly after all of this. So it's not like he probably had a whole hand in it, but he probably later put some 2 and 2s together and thought, oh shit, I'm actually in danger now.
Exactly. I think that 100%. I actually don't get like bad vibes from him, really.
I didn't either.
I get like almost pathetic, sad vibes. You know what I mean? And I do feel like the way she's explained like that night, him calling her and all of that, it feels like he was panicking. Like that's the vibe I got from how she's explained it. It feels like he was freaking out, and what he meant by it was supposed to be her, I don't know. I mean, I've heard someone else make a pretty decent point on what he could have meant by that, and I don't remember what it is at the moment, but there was something outside of that was supposed to be you, not meaning assassination but meaning something else. And I was like, that could have been what he meant by that. But I did get the vibe that like the reality was he was like actually having like a panic freak out, and I would imagine it's probably because he probably wasn't complicit in killing Charlie Kirk, and that wasn't what he was.
And if he did what he said he did, which we have to take with a grain of salt, he said he gave his text to the FBI. He said he sent it in there, and that's most likely where Candace got her text, right? Like, it's like she was trying to keep him out of the business, but he explicitly saw that Charlie Kirk said, I have no longer have a choice. I'm leaving the president.
This is a great example, too, of how important it is. I gained respect for Andrew Colvett when she presented the texts from Charlie about thinking he was going to be killed, and he went on his show and confirmed that yes, those were from me. Like, you know what I mean? Like when he went on and said, yeah, those are real texts, because everyone was saying, oh, they were made up, she just photoshopped it or whatever, and he's like, yeah, those are real. And when he did that, I immediately felt like, that gave me a totally different perspective of him. And this is a good connection to that, the 8th or whatever, the 8th when supposedly Erica was seen at that hotel, and the whole text exchange trying to prove that she was home making dinner, and how that's never been proven to be true because they sent a text without an associated phone number, so it doesn't even matter. And like that's why I have such a different perspective from her. Like she could have done like what Andrew's doing, where he was like right away was like, yeah, those are real, whereas she's given it and then we find out we don't really have confirmation, and then she sends something else that's obviously not really confirmation, and it's just like you're just like dragging people along thinking we'll just forget, and lots of people have, but anybody really following is like, no, you still never even really gave that. Like, I realize you don't have to give anybody proof, that's not like something you have to do, but if you're someone who genuinely wasn't involved and you genuinely loved your husband, and you just, even if you're angry at the fact that they're bringing it up, then just put it to bed by literally proving that it was an actual text between you and him. Show the phone number. And because you're not, now you've just created this whole other storm of like controversy for no reason.
Yeah, and I think I remember when Andrew Claven was first starting to kind of go against whatever Candace was saying, thinking that that was a woman's way to say it. So I had this really weird intuition that I knew that it was coming from Erica. And I already, when I saw her at the memorial, I already was like, I looked at my mom because we watched it together and I said, yeah, yikes. Like there is something wrong with this girl. I literally said to my mom, I said something like, this is not right. That's literally what I looked over and said to her. She would come on the record and tell you that I said, this is weird. I'm going to look into her.
Yeah.
Like I was doing my own stuff on the side. And I feel like when Andrew Claven was first putting out statements, they ran up the chain to Erica every time. And it sounded like something a woman would try to say to lie. And I knew that because I was like, that's a manipulative kind of woman tactic. Men are fairly straightforward. I mean, for the most part, I know like women are really good at like twisting their words and I don't know. I'm not trying to be sexist here, but I'm just going to be honest.
No,
like,
it's true. It's true.
It's just
we're detectives through and through.
Yes. We try and like weave our words and do things very specifically. And most of the time men just come out and say yes or no. This is what happened.
Never
this
usually
didn't
that
happen.
deep.
Or they might not even answer. Like if they don't find it necessary, they'll just like, whatever, not my problem.
Yeah, they're the kinds who could be like, I'm cool not answering, whereas we're like, no, I have to answer, and it's going to be a good one. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's the thing. If Erica didn't respond, it would even maybe have been better. Like if she just wouldn't have sent anything.
Yes, that's what I said too.
It fine. But if you tried, yes, women are cunning. Yes. I saw that in the comments.
That's how our brains work. It's true.
Or just cunning. Yes, it's something,
I could find someone's name, address, phone number, whatever I want in 10 minutes after something took place. I would know everything about this person. It's just how we are.
So, I don't know. I feel like this whole situation, it's so messy because of all the lies. And like Rogue said, we kind of want to do a video on the lies we've seen.
Like a visual timeline of the lies, because I think that one of the issues, like we said, is there's always some hot topic that comes up and it's talked about for like a week straight. And everyone's all like the text to the 15-year-old. But then 2 weeks, 3 weeks go by with little new stuff and people have forgotten about it because a million things have happened in something else, whether it's the crap in Mexico or, Venezuela, fill in the blank, because there's enough stuff on a daily basis right now that it's so easy to forget. And so then when the next thing comes up, it's like, whatever, like that could happen to anybody. Great. Yes. But now put it in conjunction with the 50 million other things that we've pointed out. And so when they're split up like that, it's very hard to remember how impactful all of those things are as a whole.
Yeah. Cause it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yes, exactly.
I also saw this on X. I thought we could take a look. It's reasons Charlie Kirk had to go. And someone put these with his quotes. And I thought maybe we could talk through them. What do you think? Yeah. I was like, I found this pretty last minute. But someone said reason, and these are going to be out of order because they didn't give the screenshots that well. So Charlie Kirk said, Jewish donors have a lot of explaining to do, and they're the number one funding mechanism for radical open border neoliberal quasi-Marxist policies. Are we talking George Soros here? Because that's who I think he's talking about.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So there's one. Just thought we could recap.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
That said what it said. Just lost another huge donor, $2 million a year because I won't cancel Tucker. Thinking of inviting Candace. Jewish donors.
I love when he said that.
He was like, whatever.
Followed it up with thinking of inviting Candace now.
That was kind of the nail in the coffin, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like they were like, damn it.
They're like, oh no, he's untamable. Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied into this, leaving me no choice but to lead the pro-Israel cause. I think this is his most prolific.
Yes.
But we know what
like nail in the coffin for sure.
I think thinking of inviting Candace, because she went so far to the other side of the house there. They're like, oh no, there's no reeling this guy back in. It wasn't just
like, oh, he's still going to have Tucker. It's like, oh, now he's like, oh, they don't want Tucker. Well, we might as well bring in someone else they don't want to, if that's how they're going to be. Like very like spit in your face almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that. Spit in your face. All right. Charlie to Shapiro. So we know this one of his last interviews. Ben, we push back on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border. Maybe we should ask the question, is the media totally telling the truth about Israel? And then we remember Baron Coleman just covered this, those caterpillar eyes just going flying up because Ben Shapiro was not having it.
Yeah.
So also fun fact that I know this is allegedly, apparently the Daily Wire around this time, about a week before what happened to Charlie, they were making calls and doing things without their assistants. So normally you have an assistant that makes your calendar, but apparently people in the higher up portion of the Daily Wire were making their own calls. So it's kind of interesting, especially knowing that Andrew Colvett had made this interview for Charlie. So just something to be mindful of.
Yeah, weird.
It's very weird. Okay, another one. Charlie speaking about October 7th. Why was there a 20-hour response while the attack was being live streamed in a country the size of New Jersey? So we know you said that in 2013 or 2023.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like this was kind of like the start of it. When he first started questioning any of it, it seems like that's what made him start to. Because he said as well, like, what, you can take a 45-minute helicopter ride from one end to the other. So why would it take that long for anybody to respond to this kind of an event? Why would that have happened? And he specifically asked if there was a stand down order.
Yeah, he did. And the other thing I want to point out, just because we're looking at these photos, you guys see his face is different here. What I kind of wondered is, and I think he was like a good looking guy right here, but towards the end of his life, and I grew up around people who looked more like Charlie. Some people are like, well, he wasn't that good. Like I grew up in the Midwest, guys. This is what guys look like.
I don't think he was unattractive. I think I think a lot of people assume that people who are politically active, especially in high school, tend to fall into that kind of nerdy vibe. So I think it's also just a perception of like who he was and what he was interested in that makes people feel that way. Because I don't think he was physically unattractive, especially he was tall. Women love that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, what I kind of wondered, because his face was kind of getting bigger, I was wondering if maybe, and this is just now totally speculation, was he having health problems? Because that kind of can happen. Like his face looks a little bit more normal here, but towards the end, like his face was disproportionate to his body, and we know he was a big walker. He played basketball in his free, like things like that. So just something to consider. Like maybe Charlie had some other things going on, and I just had this thought because I'm like, his face does look a little different. And if you've ever been pregnant, you know, because of hormones, your face changes. So,
or I mean, even if it was like weight fluctuations, because I mean, the reality is a lot of the times, I don't know about you, for me, at least in the history of my life, my weight fluctuations are generally emotionally related, whether the weight loss is due to emotion type situations or the gain. So aside from pregnancy, a lot of times for me, the weight fluctuations is based on whatever I'm going through at the time. So I also think that could certainly have been part of it, because I noticed as well over the, or like I think I had said to you before too, maybe he had weight fluctuations because of her being pregnant. A lot of times, you know, guys might put on a couple pounds when your wife does or whatever. So it could certainly be something as benign as that. But I agree. He definitely went through some physical changes over the last few years, I noticed too.
And I think that last year, I like that you said that. I think stress can really do something to your face. You blow up that inflammation. And so it kind of
causes inflammation for sure.
Yes.
And that's a very visible ailment when it's bad enough.
Because if you looked at his, like, this is really, because I've watched so much of Charlie Kirk, and I'm sure everyone in this chat has. His body wasn't that big when he was shot. He wasn't like, he barely even had a belly. Like, I don't know.
Maybe not as physically fit in the sense of like leanness or something.
Yes. But he was not, like, he's a tall guy. He wasn't huge by any means, but his face
clearly
was
someone who had a decent metabolism.
Yes. His face was puffy, and I think that could, you know, if we want to speculate, be closer to that stress angle, that maybe lack of sleep. Just, he was under pressure. That's obvious. And his body may have been showing that. So just things to think about. Because when I look at this photo, this was younger Charlie, but not that younger, right? I've seen photos of him where he's super young. I don't think this is that far back.
No.
And he looks completely different here, in my opinion, with how his face was.
Almost like a different person, honestly.
Almost like, and he was, like I said, fairly good looking, in my opinion. And then his face kind of blew up, and I'm wondering if it was stress. All right, there's a couple more.
I don't know if you watched the Jesse on Fire series. I haven't watched it all. I've watched parts of it, but like he's kind of been someone I've been like not watching as much lately,
Mhm.
just due to like the way he presents some stuff is challenging for me to stay involved in watching.
Right.
You know what I mean? But one of the things he's brought up, and I have to go back and listen because I genuinely don't recall and I don't understand what he meant. But he was saying, because in my mind, I kept going, why would Charlie ever do that though? Like fake it. And
Mhm. Yep.
especially in such a public way, I just don't see him wanting to put that on his kids or like, even if the kids are involved and they know that he's around still, if that's the case, first of all, it's not really how witness protection works. So if they're
Right.
out in the about, like he wouldn't see them either. So that wouldn't make sense. But he had said that this was due to, um, that if something happened with Trump not getting elected, that Charlie would have been going to jail. Do you know
Charlie
what that's
said
about?
that. Yes, Charlie said that. So I think it was how they were using TPUSA as more of a political arm, which people have talked about. 501c3s are not supposed to do that, which is what TP Action does, right? TP Action
Okay.
is, I think, 501c4, and I think they have that ability. 501c3 is non-taxable. So from my understanding, guys, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, if he was doing any of his political activism out of TPUSA directly, that could have been a big deal, and he was being investigated by the Biden admin. And we know that Wolves in Finance has brought up some questions there. So it's not that far out of the realm.
It still makes me wonder. I don't know about you, but I feel like that's the most crazy extreme way to get out of that or like handle that. Like, why would you be like, I'll fake my death and disappear forever? Like, I feel like he was an honorable person, and I couldn't imagine that like he wouldn't just be like, look, I screwed up and like take whatever came. Because I would
If
imagine
Jeffrey
it wouldn't
Epstein,
be like that insane of a like, even if he did end up going to jail for something like that, I imagine it would be pretty lenient. It would probably honestly be like probate. You know what I mean? Like a
yes,
certain period of time of
when you have
I wouldn't
money,
be shocked if it was something really catastrophic to the point where you're like, I need to like disappear for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like that seems a little bit extreme. I understand some people really don't want to go to jail, but I don't see Charlie Kirk as being the kind of person to be like, I'm going to disappear forever because of this. You know, I
right?
just
And how much control over his finances did they have? He could also be like, yes, I own it as the CEO, but like I have COOs,
there's
I
a
have
million hands in this pot. You know,
exactly. So he wouldn't get like he wouldn't have the
that's
book
what I
thrown on him
mean.
by any means.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it would
not.
be a
If
plethora of people involved, and the punishment would be distributed as necessary to
probably
the
a
people
fine.
involved.
Most of the
Right.
time, it's probably just like pay the taxes that you didn't
If
pay
there
for
was
those
no
years.
physical harm done on people, you're not going to get like, you know what I mean? Yeah, of course, like there are definitely situations where people are whatever, where people uh have their own things held against them because there's a bias or something, but I
Mhm.
still don't see it. Like Charlie Kirk wasn't a mean person to the point where I would think that people would have been like, no, he needs to be taken down. You know, it's not like he was
Yeah.
abrasive like Trump is. You know what I mean?
No.
So I just that to me, it's not enough for me to believe that as the reasoning.
I couldn't see it because he openly spoke about how he could be under the gun for this.
Yeah, I
So
feel like
it's
he's
like
too honorable. He was too honorable of a person to just be like, you know,
I don't know him
if he wasn't, he
personally.
wouldn't have brought it up at all. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Exactly. He wouldn't have been been like, "Oh, I'm crying
He
because I
would be
could
like,
have went to
never saying
jail."
anything about it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, because we don't hear Tyler Boyer going around talking like that, in my
if I
opinion.
shoplifted something
Yes.
and it was recently done, I'm probably never going to utter a word of that
Right.
anywhere, you
Yeah.
know, if I think I could get in trouble for it still. So it just seems like, yeah.
And it makes you wonder if that's one of the reasons why we heard about that Doge style audit. Like he was like, "We've got to get this together, guys. Like I don't
Right.
want after Trump's out of office, right, to keep running this
Yeah.
dog and pony show."
I imagine he probably had a lot of stress and anxiety around that. And when they finally came out on the other end, he was probably like, all right, like that's it. We're not messing
Yeah.
around anymore
Cut the
because that
shit.
was too stressful. I'm not doing it anymore.
Cut the shit. That's
Yeah.
probably him. He was probably like, "I'm not doing like I'm not even we know for a fact he stepped back from some of that stuff. People have said it in interviews, and one of them would be obviously the financials. And I've said it in my other videos. I also think they kept Charlie distracted. I have a decent knowledge that he also wasn't always running the show. Erica Kirk was very, very much involved before he
Yeah,
was
I've heard it
taken
too.
down. It's not
I've
a
heard it,
secret
I think
within
from
the inner
like what
circles.
previous employees were talking
Yeah.
about how
Yes.
she was around a lot
She was
and
there
that
all the
they never
time.
saw him, which makes
Mhm.
sense because he was very busy. Like, I mean, think about any corporation you've ever worked for. Did you ever see the CEO on a regular basis? Not like super sporadically. They don't run the show. They started it and they manage it from a very up high. That's why when that whole um United Healthcare assassination took place and all these people online were like, yeah, in your face, like this is for all the people who get screwed by their insurance, it's like, or like turned down for like a whatever. I worked in insurance. I had to turn people down on numerous occasions for a lot of different reasons, and people don't understand that the CEO has no idea about that stuff. Like,
No.
they don't know when their employees, like they have thousands of employees who manage disability claims or whatever it is, and those employees have certain things they need to obtain in order to approve a claim. If you don't get it, you cannot approve it. And so whether it's like tracking the person down because I needed to get clarification on something, or waiting for a doctor to submit paperwork that they refuse to send because they swear they didn't get permission. There's so many things that go into it. I assure you without a doubt that the CEO is not up there having all that stuff filtered through to him going, decline them, deny them. No, they don't get their back surgery. Like, none of that is going on. They have no idea that these people even exist. They know the company is running and doing these things. If you want to blame the CEO for anything, maybe blame them for the fact that like you're really short-staffed. And because you're short-staffed, you don't have enough time to run down all the information you need to approve a claim. So that could be their reasoning behind being mad at the person, but they didn't personally deny you. You know, like these people have very little to do with that stuff.
Yeah,
and I imagine it's very much the
company
same.
policy. And CEOs have to talk to a board of directors. They have to talk to everybody else within it's not that black and white. So I think just saying he'd want to go, he'd take himself out for that. It's like I'd be way more on board that he'd take himself out because he had a target on his back from the pro-Israel cause.
Yes, to try to stay safe for his family. Right.
Yes, that's the
but
only
in that
thing
regard, I
could
would think you would do it with his family and be like, let's make sure that someone can keep running TPUSA. If you're going to take any family person, a person who's in a loving marriage and has children that they're raising and they love more than anything in the world, I don't care how successful your business or your company is. If your family's life is in jeopardy or your life is in jeopardy and you may lose the ability to be with your family, fuck TPUSA. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I'm not saying like I want it to fall to crap. I'll try to find the best person to run it, but I'm not putting my family's life in jeopardy. And I don't think that any normal person would do that.
That was one of my first thoughts when I did one of my videos recently, where I thought, if I was Charlie, I had all that money, and I had maybe a foreknowledge of tomorrow may be my last day on Earth, why the hell was I taking the first ride to anywhere else? To any other country? I don't understand that. So what makes me think happened, and this is my opinion, someone convinced him to go that day. I don't know who it was, but if you had in your heart of hearts, someone's about to kill me and I've got money, I'm going somewhere else, right? Just to seek asylum for a little while. Other people have done it. People have gone to Russia. People have gone to super different places just to get a little bit of asylum and out of the current thing they're doing. So why would he go without some kind of
someone's comforting him? Well, not the reality is we've heard numerous times that he spoke with multiple people the days leading up to, and they kept saying it was because he really wanted to make sure he had his talking points right, which is a load of crap. We all know that because he definitely had his talking points right. The man didn't need help with his talking points.
Yeah, that's
but bullshit. So when they keep saying that, and it's like, I don't know what they said on a phone call or when they met in person, because wasn't it Frank Turk who went to see him that the night before or something?
Yeah.
So it's like all these people are talking to him saying he needed to talk to us for talking points, or was he needing to talk to you and you guys convinced him to go?
Well, also think about this. Josh Hammer,
and maybe they're convincing him for a different reason altogether, right? Like they don't know he's going to be assassinated, but they're convincing him because someone else is saying we need him to go here because of this donor or whatever. And they're like, you got to go. Like, we'll figure it out. It'll be all right.
Right.
Not knowing this was going to happen.
Also, Josh Hammer, that very same day, that night before, got off the call with him. Charlie obviously, was upset, got off that call, texted Andrew Colvett, Dan Flood, whoever else said they're going to kill me. Josh Hammer posts a tweet about public execution. And then there's a public execution. Like, that person should be in custody getting literally questioned, in my opinion. That is too many coincidences for me on someone knowing something. How many times do we talk about public execution in our real life? Never, in my opinion. So I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where you have to think about, what does common sense tell you, not what does the news tell you, what does mainstream media tell you. But
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, I'm gonna bust in a couple more of these, and then might call it a time here.
Yeah.
All right. Reasons Charlie had to go number 1. So like I said, guys, this was totally out of order, and we don't even get all 12. So the only ones I could find. So y'all stick with us. He said, I've got to be careful how I say this. They are going to try and ethnically cleanse Gaza, and I don't use that term lightly. Words.
Words are hard.
Words are hard when your brain works faster than your mouth.
Yeah, he was definitely calling out the Gaza stuff and the Iran stuff.
Yeah, and we've all retweeted those if you're on Twitter. If you want to re-find the Iran stuff. Reason Charlie had to go number 2. Was there a stand down order on October 7th? Did someone in the government order a stand down? I've been to that border. You can't go 10 feet without meeting a 19-year-old IDF soldier with an AF-15 or an automatic machine gun. I think he painted a picture here as well. He wasn't just saying stand down order. He's telling you how Israel works. How many of you guys know someone at our borders, 19 years old, with an automatic machine gun? We're talking about a military state here, people.
Yeah.
Surveillance state. I mean, he couldn't have been more clear.
Yeah. Nope, I agree. Absolutely.
So we know another one, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu is basically rewriting the Israeli constitution. I'd not seen that one before. But we do know it's true that, and it's still going on. I just saw a recent one that they're protesting in Israel like the other day. So,
well, I mean, Bibi Netanyahu is on the verge of going to jail for war crimes anyway, and he has been for a long time. And now he's trying to get Trump to, I mean, Trump even said they need to like wipe his slate clean. Basically, it's like, come on.
Yes.
His own people.
And unfortunately, Trump's daughter and his son-in-law have so much money tied into the Gaza Strip being rebuilt. And, you know, Candace warned about this months ago before this happened. I'm pretty sure. I remember an episode where she said Jared Kushner wants to wipe out Gaza and rebuild it. And guess what happened? They wiped out Gaza and they're trying to rebuild it.
Well, and remember that video, that the interview that's going around where he's with, who's he with? He's with another dude and I can't think of who it is. And that other guy's talking about how they have a plan. Yeah, we've been working on it for a few years. I'm sorry, what was that?
What?
You've been working on the plan for a few years, and you can see Jared Kushner, his butthole's puckering because he is like, he's like, you can see him like look inside, but like, oh, what are you talking about? He's got terrified eyes. He's terrified at the fact that he just dropped that.
All wars are planned in advance. That's why left versus right sucks. We should all walk away from that, because what it really is people in power who benefit from this stuff versus the common folk, right? So that's why they want us to fight each other, so then we don't fight them. And that's a perfect example, because all of these wars are actually planned, and most people know that now.
Honestly, I was just thinking as well, side note, which I wish I could. I wish I thought I could do this without it completely hindering my growth on YouTube, because at this point I'm still like this little tiny little thing in YouTube.
Me too.
And but I think that creating a timeline of Netanyahu quotes over the years from the 90s up of all the things he said very out in the open about like us having the Twin Towers being bombed or whatever, like the amount of things that man has said vocally and out loud, whether it's 5, 6, 7, 10 plus years before the actual event took place, is like, come on.
Yeah. They have to tell you before they do it.
You want to wait for 15 years. Nobody's going to think twice. They're going to forget about that stupid interview you had that one time where you made that comment. And then it happens. And then everybody just, it goes away. But the reality is he's said it numerous times on numerous occasions about numerous different things.
Yeah. And it's been sad to see that our government is so controlled by a state the size of New Jersey. Like, we have so many more people than them. We obviously had a lot more money before we were drained dry by them. And all of our debt is basically from supporting all of these wars. And
to talk about that, one of the things that really drives me crazy is when people are like, oh, well, because I just heard it the other day where someone did actually point this out in this way, but someone had said, well, the money we give them is for like weapons, and then they reinvest it in the weapons from us, and and they're like, so it's not like, the money's going to that specifically, because then it'll be like, oh, well, they get free healthcare and they get all these things, and we don't get those, and we're giving them money for this stuff. And like, well, we're not giving it to them for the healthcare. It's like, great, well, I understand that, but the reality is, if say my sister needed help paying for her mortgage, and I offered to help her pay for her mortgage because they were struggling, and I'm helping cover like 75% of her mortgage, guess what that does? It allows her to buy food for the kids and the family. It allows them to pay for their dental visits. And if it gets to a point where I'm struggling, then what are we doing here? I'm paying, yes, I might not be paying for her medical stuff, but she's able to pay for it because I'm paying for her mortgage. So stop acting like because they're saying it's going here for this reason, that it doesn't still impact what they can do with their other money. If we're not paying for their weapons, they got to come up with that money some other way.
Well, yeah, and if you think about it, like we've heard from the Ukraine war that where's that money been? They can't even track it. So you think it's any different from Ukraine to Israel, and Israel's like killing children by the thousands.
At this point, I'm thinking Putin's the one we need to like be like, hey, will you come help us?
He's already trying. He literally has said he's trying to get rid of.
Everyone wants to demonize him. I'm like, I honestly am thinking he's the only good one out there.
I mean, it's what's crazy is I just learned Russia was our ally before World War One, and apparently one of the reasons why that it's kind of hard to explain, but basically Russia sent us people to help fight in our civil war because they were having people sent from other countries to fight in the southern parts, and then the northern parts were losing. And so Russia actually sent us troops. And I don't know if any of you guys learned that in history. I didn't, but I found that extremely interesting that after the Bolshevik revolution, somehow there are enemies. And after
they've
all
done
that,
a really good job of trying to paint him in a terrible light. And the reality, to my knowledge, I could be wrong if anybody wants to chime in, but to my knowledge, I don't think that the people of Russia truly dislike him. And I think that he's really brought that country up from a really terrible place, and so it's I think that, in my opinion, if I'm basing it on, trends, it seems like if they're going to really try to push how terrible of a person he is, maybe he's not. Maybe he's actually not.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I think Tucker tried to say that over a year ago, right? Where he's like, well, what benefit do we get from being allies with one country? Well, I won't say it, but we know it, versus Russia, when they have more of a similar culture to us, more of a similar belief, right? Because, if you think about how did the Western countries come to be, it's because it was based off of a lot of Christianity values. Well, Russia is the same way. And if you think about, other countries, they're not based off of those same values, whether they want you to believe that or not.
Yeah.
We can see from the news.
Have we heard anything coming out about crazy pedophilia stuff from Russia? I haven't heard anything about that. So that's already a check mark in my book.
They have some trafficking issues, but a lot of that goes through Ukraine. So I think that can be, that's maybe open for another discussion there, but Ukraine's one of the largest trafficking areas in that part of the world. So, and they're bordered to them. So I think that's also just things to be aware of. Why are we supporting the people bombing children and Ukraine is a big trafficking operation? Well, that makes us no better than them, right? When you want to think your countries are the good guys, it's like we haven't been in a long time. We're siding with criminals, mobs, whatever is going on at these different governments.
There's a girl I follow. Actually, I can't remember her name. She's much more kind of leaning towards the left in a lot of ways that I'm not, but I like her approach and how she talks about things. But she was talking about Putin, and she's like, you guys, I'm sorry. She's like, he's kind of badass. She's like, have you seen the videos of him riding bareback in the middle of the woods in the middle of the winter? And she's like, this guy's hardcore.
Right. I think he also used to be intelligence. So like he has like training too. It's probably why he's not.
He always seems calm and collected. He's always put together. He's never like kind of speaking in like a manner that would indicate he doesn't have control over his emotions and whatever. He's very like put together. Like I know people will hate on it, but I don't know. Russia's not looking so bad these days.
It's time to reevaluate our allies. I think that's
Yeah.
been made clear that with how things
I think
have
they
happened.
know. They know he's not bad. They're
Yes.
trying to make him look bad because they need it for other reasons.
Well, yeah, and he doesn't want that influence in his country. He purposely
Yeah.
does not let the influence that is in our country in his country, and who owns the media in our country, the influence that is over
Yeah.
our country.
Yeah.
So if you draw those parallels, you see why he's the demon, and they're, and you know,
Mhm.
we're the good guys or they're the good guys. No, if you're pushing back against a huge system, they're gonna hate
Mhm.
you. Like,
Even
it's
when it
whether you
comes
like
to
it or
the
not.
Ukraine thing, and someone had a really great video, and you could search it if anybody wants to look it up. Look up something like the true reason behind the Ukraine-Russia war. And essentially it's just going over the reality of his areas getting encroached on, and he might have so much land to Russia. It's obviously massive, but the reality is he's completely landlocked and completely trapped by other countries. And so when they kept kind of wanting to encroach more and more, he's like, you got to stop doing it. He's giving warnings, like you're going to force my hand because you can't keep doing that. You can't keep cutting off my only areas of, access to other things, like it's just not how it works. You can't be doing that. And the fact that they just kept doing these things and pushing and the NATO stuff and all of that was like,
And he
yeah,
had
I
tried to
mean,
join NATO, but they didn't want him.
right.
Why would you
Why
not
wouldn't
want
you?
a huge
Right.
country? Well, because they don't want to play by your rules. So if they're
Yeah,
not
they
going to
don't want
play
to have
by
you in
your
the club.
banking
That's the whole
system,
reason.
yeah, they're not going to play by your banking system. They're not going to play by your values. They're not going to play by your stuff. Then they're going to be like, no, you can't be a part of it because we can't control you.
Yep.
And because you can't control them, well, now
We
they're
can't
the
have
enemy.
you in the club. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
We can't have more leaders in the club. We already have the leaders we want.
Right, which is the leaders are dropped in the
Ridiculous.
chat there. I agree with you, Matthew. I'm not going to say it on my stream, but yeah. We have another video for those guys coming up. I did some deep dives into our friends that rule the banking industry. That's what I'll just say. Okay, so last one. We'll just end on this. Reasons Charlie had to go. This is Israel pushing for Iran. But is that America's problem? They were wrong about Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, the Taliban, Libya, Arab Spring, Yemen, the Arabian Peninsula, the 9/11 hijackers being Saudi Arabian. But this time they are actually right. I feel like that's the perfect way to end on this discussion we just had.
Especially what we were just saying. Yeah.
Yes, because
100%.
he knew. He was based enough. He knew. I think what people missed about Charlie Kirk is he dropped hints. He wasn't blatant.
Yeah,
And
he
he got
wasn't
a
in your
lot of
face.
flack for that. And I think that's one of the things that I think people now in hindsight can see about him. I don't think he was a perfect person. I think he probably had some ideas that most of us would be like, not my thing. And that's perfectly fine. Does not mean he deserved a big bang into the neck to go out the way he did. Doesn't mean he wasn't trying to fight a good fight. Doesn't mean he wasn't the reason we probably didn't go to Iran the first time. I think that this is just kind of sums up what we're dealing with right now in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I think his biggest problem was his following, his base, the amount of people he was influencing, and that's what they didn't like. They didn't like how many people he was able to feed this information, and he was starting to feed information that they didn't want people to have. And knowing how many people followed him, how many people watched him every day, they knew that would spread so fast if it continued.
If he's going down a different rabbit hole that they don't want him down. And Barron said it really good yesterday. I thought that was one of his best podcasts. I obviously big Barron fan, but I thought that one was like cream of the crop, because he basically was saying it's like the mafia, it's like the mob. If you're propped up by these people, they basically are, if you look back into the old history of it. But if you're propped up by these people and they give you a lot of money, they think of you as their puppet. And Charlie Kirk,
you're working for them.
Yeah, he probably didn't get that memo, because when you grow up as an American and not part of this, society that we're not a part of, you think a donation is a donation. They think a donation is an investment. And that is the difference, where they think they have all this power and control over you. And, technically they do with their money.
Yeah.
But if you want to be like, well, screw your money, I'm doing whatever I want. It's like, well, I already gave you all this money. Too bad. You got to go.
And whether people want to admit it based on their opinions of Charlie Kirk, I think it's safe to say that he was clearly an alpha type. So for him too, is probably one of those things where even if he knew, yes, they could hurt me. Yes, they have some type of control. whatever, I'm not gonna fold because I'm
Not
a
gonna bend
man
the
and I'm
knee.
gonna, this is what I believe and this is where I'm going now. Like once I feel like once he made that decision,
And they all knew it because when he said,
yeah,
"I'm pulling," that final text, "I'm pulling my support," like he's not saying that willy nilly, and everyone knows it.
right.
Like
He doesn't
someone,
just throw around things,
no,
without meaning behind them.
they were saying he was venting, and it's like, eh,
He was a very controlled person.
yeah,
And he
they're
had to be, given, like, the way he managed, like, any of his, debates or whatever. He was very controlled and very logical, so if he was going to come out and say something, it was something he meant and something he truly believed. I don't think that anybody doubted that.
right, which is why
Anybody
they
that knew
had to be
him.
stopped. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why he had to be stopped. So, thank you guys for being here. This is a great live.
Yay!
Please check out Rogue's channel. I couldn't make her a collaborator during the live. I will do that after. So if you see this pop up on your channel, I'll tag her in the description. If you're not already following her, I know a lot of you guys probably already are. She's gonna put out some new content too, and then we'll keep working together. We have a good time.
Yeah.
We have a good
Yeah, I
off.
haven't put out, it's been almost a week, but I've been like, I'm home with kids. We've got like winter storm after winter storm up here. We're all sick. There's just a lot going on. I'm working
Life.
crazy hours at my job right now because they're on vacation. So my whole everything's been distorted, but I'll be
Ugh.
back on track soon.
That's okay. That's why I was reaching out on Olive Branch, like, "Hey,
I
girl, want to just
appreciate it.
hop on the stream?" Because I already had some stuff thought up,
Sometimes
and I thought,
too, and I don't know about you, but sometimes too, just given like the stuff we talk about in general, I feel like I definitely get to a point where like I'm good for like 3 weeks, and then I hit like a point where I'm like, I gotta just like take a couple days and like just not watch anything, not like,
it's
because
heavy.
I just get, yeah, even just heavy or just like a lot, like there's a lot to try to like stay on top of and you just get burnout really quick. So it's like I almost always go through this kind of rotation of like, you know, having a slow week after like very busy weeks because it's
Yes.
just gotta like stop for a minute and like I got a family, I got a job, and there's so much going on that it's like I'm gonna start to really lose it if I don't like take a couple days. So
Yeah, and I think with these channels that are bigger than ours, they post daily, like daily updates, and that's great, but we don't need a million more of those. So like I'm gonna
yeah.
make content that might be similar but not the same.
Yeah.
To keep in the sphere, but also like who needs 5 million updates every single day, right?
And
I'd rather
I don't know about you, but I often get to the point where it's like, all right, like I've seen that already 4 times.
yes,
Like there's
yes,
a lot of times where I'm like, I don't need to watch like this. I might like this person, but I already watched like Baron cover it or Candace. I don't need to watch 6 other people say the same thing. So like usually I get to a point where I'm like, anything that's really popular, I'm like, I don't need to watch it over and over and over. I'm looking for something kind of more niche at that point because I'm like, too much of the
yes.
same thing.
Well, and I get in my comments every once in a while, like, have you seen Candace or Baron? They've covered something similar, but like I'm covering something a little bit different. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I saw this, that, but this is my take. And this is a little bit
Yeah.
different of a spin. And like that's what content should be. We should be able to come out and just talk about things that are a little bit more broad. And
Right.
this is our perspective. This is what else we found. So, if you guys are supporting smaller content creators, remember that we don't want to follow everybody else's script. We
Yeah.
want to bring you something new. We want to
Sometimes I
bring you a new
almost am like,
perspective.
I'm gonna cover it, but just because I know like people want it covered, even though I know like everyone has covered it, but like I'll do it because I know I'm still growing and I'm still building and I want to make sure that the algorithm is like, hey, this is popular, so here's someone else talking about it, and I know that that will help my channel. But it does get to a point where you're like, I don't want to just do the same thing as everybody else. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And if I catch it
Sometimes I feel
early,
like I have to because I
yes.
I know it'll be beneficial for me, but and I also agree that even if you've watched something with someone else, you watch people for their personality and the way they present things. So sometimes I don't mind it, but
Yes. It's not every time. So anyway, just keep that in mind, guys, when you watch our videos. That we're not going to repeat every talking point someone else has already said. We probably have actually already seen it. We're with you. We're
it's
part of the
kind of like
fam.
all we do.
Yes, that's
We're
what
all
we're
like,
supposed to
just to
do.
give you an idea, like at this point, she and I are, in the same Discord servers with other creators who are journalists who are talking about all of the things going on all at the same time. We're all in this sort of backside world that you can't see, that we're all talking about all the newest things that are coming out, or have you guys heard this? So there's a lot of external stuff that's not in these videos that you just aren't aware of. So yeah, we all have probably way more information coming at us than even anybody who's following pretty closely this stuff, because we have other people digging that are interacting with us too. So it's a lot.
It is a lot. And we have like some good connections. So, don't expect us to say talking points that everyone else is. We have some other side knowledge that we get to know. I've made some really cool friends doing this. I've got some good tips that I get now. I get awesome people from like my subs who know things. I've gotten crazy tips that I've actually never given. So if we choose to say certain things that don't sound the same as everyone else, isn't like, that's kind of the point. So not a rant, but just wanted everyone to know, like, we see you, we know they said that stuff.
And that doesn't mean we don't want you to have make those comments, because maybe it is something we haven't seen or heard. Like, obviously everybody gets information from different places. There's still people who run across things that other people haven't heard. So that's great. I would say if it's like something that like everybody's talking about, we've probably heard though.
Yes, 100%. So I just wanted to give that context. Like, yes, we follow the main people too, guys. I've seen that in my comments. Of course we do. We talk to some of them. We're cool with them. So anyway, and another plug here. If you guys have an X, please follow me on X. It's American Dis News. Rogue, what's yours?
It's Rogue Dissident. I assume you can find it by that.
We follow each other. So if you can't find her, go to mine.
Yeah, you'll probably see us tagged in one another's stuff. Yeah. We also have some really cool things that we're working on with other creators like Danks and some other people who are like creating their own things in the background, like different tools that we're trying to also work on with them to dig up information and keep track of things in a better way. So hopefully we'll have some really cool stuff a little bit further down the line in regards to all of that. So it's very exciting. It's a lot of fun working with some of these people that we just didn't know until recently. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And they're really nice people. Like, yes. A lot of them have already started following me on X and stuff like that. So just big shout out to them for welcoming us into the fam.
It's very welcoming, which is surprising to me. I feel like not something I think I expected, but it's
your favorite people are as cool as they seem.
Yes, if they seem cool, they probably are really cool. So
yes, so from smaller creators, we can go ahead and say we're really cool. I was actually in the Real Bays chat last night. We were going over the State of the Union and we just had a ball in there. Like, it's so fun when creators are a little bit smaller, because Bays is also like, I think he's at like 3K. So if you ever get into those smaller chats, y'all have fun. Like, we're in there too, and we're just having a ball. So encourage you to
nice
do all that.
Community.
It is. All right. Well, I think that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you for sticking around. It's super fun. Everyone. Rogue's going to be back. I'm going to be back on her channel. Support all the cool people in the world. Yay. Bye, y'all.
Bye.